Hey, everybody. It is your favorite contractor podcast, Contractor Radio, where we help you get control of your business so you can grow your business and achieve that personal and financial freedom that you were chasing when you started your business. I'm your host, Jim Johnson, the head coach here at Contractor Coach Pro, and we have an amazing guest for you today. I've been following this guy for a long time without really interacting. Like I always notice, like anytime somebody would say, "Hey, who do you know that's good at doing Facebook ads?" This guy's name kept popping up over and over and over again. I'm like, I gotta meet this guy one of these days because most people hate those guys. And then he has evolved into something new and even better. I believe not only for himself but for contractors in general, because it's one of the things we struggle with the most is efficient processes and automations and those type of things. And I cannot wait to talk with him. But before we do that, we got to pay the bills, keep these lights on. We'll take a little word from our title sponsor, Atlas, who helps you differentiate yourself when you're out there in the field selling roofing to your clients.
The Atlas Pro Plus Contractor Program is designed to help you build your business. It gives you tools and resources, training, industry insights, bonus structures, technical knowledge, the brand power and science of 3M Scotchgard, and what we think is the best product and warranty in the industry. Become part of the family that is succeeding and growing their businesses.
We went from nobody ever heard of us to the #1 roofing company in our region.
And we've gone from 12 roofs a year to 20, 35, and we did over 400 last year.
We're on track right now to do 1,000 roofs this year.
You'll begin earning Atlas bucks and rewards as you move up to even greater reward levels. Become an Atlas Pro today.
Hey guys, if you're a roofing contractor out there and you haven't checked into how Atlas will differentiate you and then what they do to support you as a contractor, I strongly suggest going to their website, getting engaged with them, attending their events. Amazing partner of ours, an amazing partner to a lot of contractors out there. Now, today's guest, I've been able to watch his evolution through Facebook. We finally got to have a bit of an interaction at one of our events. And I was like, God, this guy, he's smart. That is a smart guy. He has something tangible to him that sometimes is missing in our industry. And I couldn't be more excited about bringing on Adam Sand, your roofing business partner, founder, right? Is that our founder?
Yeah. All right.
And Adam, it's awesome to have you on the show today. It's long overdue. It's one of those things I keep going, I got to get a hold of that guy. I got to get a hold of that guy. And I'm glad we finally connected. And with both of our busy schedules, it's been a bit of a challenge to get this podcast out there and record. But thanks for being here today, man.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. And it's been cool to see you. And it was awesome to get to watch you on stage at One Industry and Model. And I'm really excited to get to chat today.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Here on Contractor Radio, this is a conversation between two human beings trying to help a bunch of other human beings improve not only in business, but in life. And so give us a little history. Like, how did you go from Mr. Facebook ads and to what you're doing now as your roofing business partner? I love the name of that, by the way, but just kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I was not a roofer. I didn't know anything about roofing. I made an app and sold it. I owned some tanning salons. I sold cars. I sold lawn care. I did all kinds of jobs. I was in the military. Like I was a bodyguard. Like I did a lot of stuff. And I had a best friend who was a shingler. And that was what he did, right? All the time I knew him. He was a shingler. And I just thought, you got to make some money. Like this sucks. Like I was starting to make some money and he wasn't. I was like, be cool if you could make some money too, so we could do some cool stuff together, and so I ended up kind of investing some money in him, and then I realized I wasn't going to get that money back unless I started helping more. And then I remember the first day I went to one of his sites and I was like, why does it say urban? The company's called Sargent's Roofing, but it said urban contract. I'm like, why does that sign out front? He says, well, that's the guy who got the job. Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, so I got the job from this guy. This is who I'm doing their roof, but he's the contractor. I was like, you don't have a business. You have a pimp. Like, that guy gets the credit. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I had no idea what subcontracting was. That's how little I knew about roofing when I owned a roofing company. I had invested in a roofing company. And I was like, no. You got to get your own customers. I was like, where do you get customers? This is 2015. I'm like, I don't know. Facebook's pretty popular, right? Why don't we go there? Tried finding gurus, couldn't find gurus. So I ended up learning how to do it myself. And then it was just an accident. I just told people in the private Facebook groups that this is what I did. And everybody was like, those were way bigger numbers than people talked about on Facebook ads back then. It was like dog toys and weight loss and ebooks and little cheap stuff that you could buy with a buy now button. And so my numbers, talking about like $400,000 in roofing, they were just big numbers for these like podcasters that did little Facebook ad campaigns for little businesses. And so then I was interviewed 28 times. One guy made a course off of what we did. He called the course I took was called the Facebook Advantage. And then the guy who taught me made a course off of my case study called the Facebook Advantage Local. Probably the inspiration for a lot of the Facebook ad guys that the industry hates came from that course. Because they basically said target roofers because they're a great business with big profits, and so then everybody rushed in, and I was just, I all these roofers started reaching out, and I'm this little guy from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I'm just like, like so nervous to talk, and it's like, yeah, sure, I'll help, and we did that, and we started helping them, but then I started getting fired. And back then we charged like $7,000 a month for Facebook ads. That industry's been completely crushed by commodity. Yeah, your eyes go up. That people paid it handily because the leads cost $9 back then. So it was like, it's easy, right? And so then we started getting fired for getting people too many leads, which, as you can imagine, there's not many roofers running around saying my Facebook guy is getting me too many leads. But back then it started happening. We said, well, why? And they said, well, we missed a color and we got a bad Google review because we didn't call this guy back. And I'm like, so I built an app and sold it. So I understood like a little bit of system design, a little bit of this kind of stuff. And I was just like, well, how did that happen? And he's like, show me like how you keep track of your customers. So he walks around on FaceTime and he's like, well, this is where we put our folders and they go on these things along the wall. And we have these Post-it notes we put here and then these magnets that we slide across the whiteboard. We write the name on. Like, that's your problem. Like, you're doing everybody's got everything everywhere. Some guy and so I was like, you guys need a CRM. I can make you one. So keep paying me and I'll make you a CRM. So then we started doing that. And then what I learned was that like Facebook ad guys are easy to fire. You know what I mean? There's always somebody offering to do it cheaper and all this kind of stuff. But what I learned was that if you could build something that was like a piece of infrastructure in their business, you kind of had a customer for life, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember this movie Margin Call, where the stock guy gets fired right before the 2008 crash, and his name was Eric, and he was the guy, risk management guy, and he gets fired, and then coincidentally he was the guy who found out everything that would happen before 2008, and they were like trying to get him back. And when they go talk to him, he's like, I built a bridge once. It's like, yeah, I was the engineer on this bridge, and it made saved these 100,000 people a 40-minute drive, and this many tons of carbon dioxide, this many tires in landfills. Like, that meant something, and this Wall Street stuff doesn't mean anything. And that hit me way before I did any of this, but I remembered that speech from the movie, and I said, that's what this feels like. It feels like I'm building something that actually makes a difference, and I was like, whereas like Facebook ads, it was just like, you're only as good as the last lead you got. Yeah. So that's how I ended up in the CRM and process game.
You said it. I was waiting for it. We have got to settle this debate. Okay, which way is that word supposed to be said? Is it process or process? It was immediate. Like when we were on stage, you used the word. I went, he's from Canada, definitely from Canada.
So the reason that got notoriety was because I was speaking on stage at the roofing process conference, right? And everybody else says a process, and I was saying process. And I made this I had this idea when I was at home that I said it's systems. Standards and expectations, systems and processes. That was like my speech, right? And so I got it. I got up on stage and I held the camera backwards because I wanted that Instagram reel of people going, and I got everybody to stand up and scream standards and expectations, systems, and follow the effing process, right? And I did that, and like the whole room, portion of the room got up, and that was my thing. Well, then I didn't realize when I went to do that nobody else said process. They said process. I didn't realize that. So then Lenny Scarola goes up after me, right? and he's speaking, and I'm sitting like front row, and he's like, when you're following your process, and kind of looks over at me funny, and the whole room laughs because now they realize that I'm now understanding the inside joke that I say this word weird because I said it like 15 times on stage to try and hammer the point: standards, expectations, systems, and processes. And so all of a sudden people started like, Dimitri made a shirt with my face on it, said follow the process with the pro, like in these like stamped letters. And other people, now just people like, I walk up to people like, process, like I like it. It's fun. But like people, I go anywhere, people tease me about it. I mean, so then it like became part of this like brand. I don't know. So I like how it's supposed to be said, probably process. You got 400 million people. I got 40 million people in Canada, probably process. But I mean, if people get to know me for saying a word weird and it makes me likable, I'll take it.
It's funny. One of the greatest pieces of information I ever got from somebody, and it was just kind of like they kind of said it randomly, but it really stuck with me, was be remembered. Okay, so they're like, what is your thing that and that is one of those things, right? Just it happened by accident. It is what it is, and now it's a thing. I think that's super cool. So, the things that you talk about and the things that we talk about, a lot of them aren't really all that exciting. If I talk about marketing or sales or recruiting, that's exciting. Everybody loves that stuff. Like you can get anybody's attention all day long. But when you talk about process, you talk about systems, you talk about standards, you talk about KPIs, you talk about that kind of stuff, people kind of go
back of their heads.
Yeah, like
yeah, the yawn start.
So what is it that trips your trigger about that? Why is that such a big thing?
It's kind of an interesting question. I think it's because I'm actually kind of introverted. I've learned to have extroverted capability, but if you take me to a bar, I'm like the quiet guy in the corner. I'll probably drink too much and make a fool of myself just because I'm trying to make the pain of being around so many people I don't know okay. Give me 6-foot riser and a microphone, I'm fine. But you put me in a room with people like that, I get uncomfortable. And so I'm very distrusting of human beings, right? And I like things that I can control, and I like and make, and I just find it that the world feels more comfortable if I can organize it and I can draw it. Like, I mean, I've been drawing circles and lines on stuff, and I can make it think that this is how it's supposed to go. Because sometimes being like a person who, wants to like envision a better, bigger thing, it's tough to like get other people to understand it. And so then I try to just find ways to make process exciting, because it makes it feel like I can trust that things are going to work out. It feels safe.
Yeah, I learned it the hard way. I'm the other way around. I'm that kind of outgoing, gregarious guy. I wasn't always that way, but as I got more and more into sales and that kind of stuff, it started to feel more natural. And I was tired of the pain. There was so much pain with not having processes, not having standards, not having some kind of reference that I could go to and say, hey, this is exactly the way things should go. And when I found out about getting that stuff in place, it saved me a bunch of time. Like, time is the most valuable commodity that we have. And so that's why I'm so fascinated with it. So CRM, I caught this when you said it. You said, well, I'll build you one. Okay. So I don't know if you know this about my background or not, but I actually had that same thing in my own company. I said, hey, there's no way to manage this stuff. I want to automate some of these things. We're going to build a software to do that. And we used Microsoft Access back in the day. It was a long time ago. And that became something that we turned into a thing called Silver Lining, which then got bought by AccuLynx, and we have built out this CRM for contractors. Where did you start with yours? So like that day when you said, hey, I'll build you one, where did you start? Yeah,
so I started on this one called Podio. It was just very simple, right? And it was more of like just a simple, like almost more like an ERP than a CRM. But it was just a graphic user interface on top of a table. It wasn't much to it. It wasn't very fancy, but I could do, well, we were sending text messages, like having text message conversations in 2017. Like the CRMs today still haven't figured out how to do this properly. We were like having full on back and forth text conversations that are fully kept in the notes, automated text back then. And it was super powerful. And I loved it. And it was cheap, right? And so that was like what I built Sergeants on, because I tried the roofing ones. I tried Jobber. I tried Zoho. I tried Method. And I always wanted things to integrate and talk to each other. And I was so annoyed that I couldn't make things do what I wanted them to do with the roofing softwares. And so then I went and I found Zoho to be a clunky. It's like I landed on a point. I'm like, this is simple, but I can make it do anything I want. And so, and I was like, that's the one I'm going to use. And then from there, we did that for a few years, and then the mobile app never updated, and some stuff was coming out that was like kind of better. And I was like, man, I wish I could do some of this stuff. And so we re-looked at it, and we went and looked at like ProsperWorks and Copper when they became the same thing. And we revisit the roofing ones. We looked at Salesforce. It was so expensive. Zoho, I still didn't like it, even though they got a lot cheaper. I looked at some other one, Pipe Drive. We tried that for a bit, and then I found HubSpot, and I was like, I really like this. Like, this feels really good, and I really like the people that were in the company. Like, it's a cult, but I mean, like, like, I shouldn't say that's negative, but they're just like, they bleed orange. Like, they're like Apple people or Jeep people or Tesla people. Like, they're like that. Like, they love where they work that much, and so I was just like, I want to do it on that. So then we convert our company and started converting our clients over to it, and so we just realized that. Because there was a small spot in the middle where I partnered up with another guy in the roofing industry who's like, we should make a custom CRM on Job Nimbus, and like, I'll service it and you can build it, and we'll like make this thing. And it was a terrible flop. And it was because I just got sick and tired of telling people, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do it. Like, well, I thought you were the guy that could like customize it. I am, but like, it's a limitation of software. Well, you didn't tell me that. It's like, well, I can read your mind and tell you what you want to do. So I got sick of all that. And I was like, no, I just want to build on something and do whatever I want. Right. And then that was HubSpot.
Listening to that, like, I feel the heebie-jeebies, right? Like, all these things that I went through in helping get AccuLinks kicked off, and don't get me wrong, I love AccuLinks.
It's great. It's my number one customer is AccuLinks people. It's my favorite software in the business because it's amazing until it's not.
Yeah, it is, and there's some philosophy things there, and I want to kind of talk about that. Do you see it kind of like I do? You have kind of two philosophies. You have the one that's like, hey, this thing is going to work every time. It's going to be like Apple. It's going to open up.
I was just going to say that Apple and Android.
Yeah, it's Apple and Android, and so this one over here, you can get it to do whatever you want it to do. But philosophically, when it comes to the people using it, I think it's important to understand who you are about software. Like, are you bought in? Are you going to use it? Is it something that you're going to implement? Is it something you're excited about as the owner, but you're not going to use yourself? You're not going to champion? You're not going to enforce or hold people accountable to? Those are all those questions that I don't think a lot of people ask whenever they're looking at CRMs. Do you find similarities like, hey, we're going to build this cool thing that can do everything and it's amazing, but then implementing it and having people use it is the struggle?
Yeah, like my evolution through this has been like, oh, I want the tool. And then it was like, but it doesn't matter about the tool. We need the process, right? And then it was like, and then now I use, like, everybody knows me for this, like, follow the process thing. And I was really about the process for a long time. And now I've evolved more about follow the. Like, the follow the is more important. It's like tool doesn't matter as much as the process, and the process doesn't matter as much as adoption. And that's what I like about AccuLinks, is easy to adopt, right? And so it's like when people say, what's your favorite CRM? I'll say AccuLinks, because it's the best tool for you to get your company off the ground on, in my opinion, because it jams you into a structure. It's very closed. It's very structured and forced into a certain way of business. And then eventually, right, like, and I know some companies have found ways to get by. I mean, there's $60 million companies running on AccuLinks, so it can be good. But when you really, like, we say that our ideal customer avatars is kind of a person who's doing like $7 to $10 million or more. I should just say 10 because of the inflation, and the marginal utility of more money in their bank account is kind of having a diminishing rate of return on their happiness. They don't need another boat or another car, or another vacation. None of that stuff's going to make them as happy as if their business could just run the way they always wish it could, and they know it should. And they've got like 5 or 10 rogue spreadsheets and 10 softwares that are siloed and not connected together. And so they're using spreadsheets to kind of make up for that. And AccuLinks really makes it so that you can get there. You can get to the point where you're doing $10 million, got a 10% net profit, you got cash in the bank, you don't care about another boat or another car. AccuLinks can get you there, right? And then we come in and we will migrate people off of it. Whereas like when we look at people who are in the same position, but they're on like a job Nimbus, and I'm probably going to get sued for this, but I mean, like, it's just, when I look at some of these other softwares, I don't see them having anything uniform. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I don't think you can be sued over opinion. So I think you're in good shape there.
Perfect. But yeah, they're like, I see that, like, you know, say a job Nimbus is a lot more open, it integrates with everything, you know, and but because people don't know how to set it up, right? They end up with this thing that's just kind of broken, and it's their best worst guess as to how to set it up. Whereas AccuLinks, it's like, this is how you use it. Oh, you don't like that? Go somewhere else. We charge, by the way, we charge more for money for this, that, and the other thing. Oh, you don't like that? Go somewhere else. Like, they're very stuck in their way. And I like it because, I mean, it seems to be coincidentally, it seems to be related to companies that are successful, right? There's a lot of very successful companies running AccuLinks. Maybe it's the age of the software, you know what I mean? But I like migrating companies off of it because they seem to be in better shape.
Yeah, and that was a strategic approach. Like, it was something that we talked about and thought about from the beginning. Was you're either going to try and build something for everybody, or you're going to build something that works. It's one of the two choices. And not everybody has an Adam Sand working for them that says, hey, I can make this thing do everything they want. You know, in our industry, it's not a common thing. It's not a high-tech world. I love that insight. I think that was extremely good insight. So HubSpot, like, I've noticed this about you, especially over the last really year, maybe a little bit more than that HubSpot seems to be the place where you've resided at this point. Why? Why that?
Well, I mean, there's a couple angles for that question. Like, HubSpot as a company evolved huge around 2020. They had this issue with Salesforce. There was a non-compete in place because Salesforce bought all these companies, and then people left, and they weren't supposed to have left. And Salesforce either was going to sue HubSpot or sue the people, and HubSpot said, sue us because we're not letting these people go because they're good. And so they got boxed out of enterprise-grade features for 5 years. And so then they were basically crafting this thing in the background for themselves, but knowing that they're going to release it all. And they did. It's been like a flurry. My head spins trying to keep up with the product updates for 2 years. But they started releasing all these amazing features, and it's truly, truly incredible stuff. Like, everybody is like, it's the talk of the CRM nerds. Like, holy shit, HubSpot's going to like challenge Salesforce. Like, they're actually doing it. Holy crap. Like, that's the dialogue that's going on. Even like, so there's that, right? But then the other part was like, I've evolved from that. Like, I'm excited by tools, then I'm excited by processes, then I'm excited by getting adoption. You know, it makes you get more fascinated by leadership, because leadership is what gets adoption, right? Selling the vision of using the tool. And I've just learned that that's really what our company is doing, is helping create opportunities in an environment for adoption. And so when we made that more of our focus, we started noticing like clients going, you know, like, just like every consultant coach has their bragging things, but we are like kind of like 90% right now on companies doubling in their first year since moving, and like tripling in some cases. And not just that, but like making it more fun to work. Retention is better. The people like working in the software. There's more notes, like the stuff that people usually hate about their CRM. It's not just like, oh yeah, we made more money. Like, great, congratulations. It's the industry's all made more money. Perfect. But it's also like, they're actually like enjoying it. They're actually excited. I have one client who tattooed the HubSpot logo on his leg.
Oh, geez. That's buying into the orange right there. That's pretty
right.
This isn't an ad. I want everybody to realize this isn't an ad for HubSpot. HubSpot's great. I've actually checked it out. I've been looking into it for about 5 years when I first was aware of it. How do you overcome, and this varies, I would say, by company, but it's expensive. It can get really expensive for HubSpot as well. How do you overcome that aspect of it?
Quite easily. The companies that we work with, again, you know, fit that ideal customer avatar, right? And they're usually like people who want to do something special. Like we don't appeal to everybody. I can do 12 a year. You know what I mean? And it's like, but we're able to demonstrate how it removes the need for people in the business. So one of the big measurements that we take when we're talking to companies is revenue per capita. Just like thinking, how many people do you have in your business that aren't putting nails through shingles, and how much dollars are you earning, right? So if you have 5 people and you're doing 5 million, you're doing $1 million per capita, right? And then if you got 10 people, you're doing $500,000, right? And we find that, like, and you could confirm because you deal with more companies than I do, because again, I'm a very niche focused person. But we find like healthy companies between 5 and 700, $1 million, they're like running their asses off doing 5 jobs per person. And at 300,000, they're throwing people at problems and have no systems. And it's like, that's kind of the continuum they exist on. And when you're in that 5 to 7 range, you're either going one way or you're heading the other way. And it's just worth knowing which way. And that's like the ultra simple, like superhero stat that I find helps diagnose it. And what we've found is that our clients are able to get to a higher revenue per capita because these systems act like part-time employees that take care of stuff. And then the data-driven decisions that you're getting back from some of the stuff that's in there, I mean, I can give like examples, but I mean, when we can measure feedback scores from multiple stages of the process and like measure the time it takes to do certain things and the time between this and this and this and this and this and this, and these people do these tasks and these people do these tasks, but then we move these 3 tasks back to these people, customer service scores go up, closing rates went up, and we're able to measure, like, you know how they say like what gets measured gets improved? Like we're able to do all that from like a really intense build that literally tracks and times everything, because we build 250 workflows and 300 custom properties that do it, but then we can just make pretty reports that make it easy for them to look at it. And then we can start working with them as an ongoing relationship to make data-driven decisions. All of a sudden, it seemed more as like, I have 5 employees working in the business that are in the computer. And so, you know, I think I talked about this at One Industry, but it's like, if you can get the 30 roofing companies that are paying $5,000 a month for a production manager to run 3 crews, if you can get one person to run that same 90 crews and another person to help them, and a $10,000 a month software, which would be obscenely expensive, twice the price of HubSpot, but they could do that, that'd be a $1.5 million a year savings taken, like just froth, taken right out of the industry. What if you can do that with like 3 transactions in the business, right? It's $4.5 million savings per year. But of course, it requires me to have a client that has the vision to say, I want to take up enough market share that I got, 30 production manager, 10 production managers running 3 crews. Like, I want that level of market share, but I need to build a system that can support that. And so we've done that. Like, we got a 27-year-old running 32 crews that are booked out 130 days, and they're maintaining a 4.9 score. And we have their traction meeting after this call, and they just posted their customer service scores, and their customer service scores are like 92% and 6.1 on an NPS. Like their scores are great. So, I mean, this is cool. And I'm not trying to say, I sound salesy, but it's like, that's why, you know what I mean? Like it's like, use the system as an investment. You know what I mean? Like, why does Uber make the money that they make? Is because they found a way to create economies of scale and get data-driven decisions to create the ability to have surge pricing and react to things faster. And that's really why I love it.
So as you were talking, I'm like, all right, there's like 10 people on the planet that get excited about that kind of stuff. Most people are like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like a lot of effort to put all that together. I think you said 250 workflows and 300 data-driven pieces.
300 properties, like 300 separate data points.
Yeah. And so that's a lot, right? Like that's intense. And very few, enterprise level companies go to that extent of things, much less a bunch of contractors. What seems to be the biggest hurdle, like in them actually going, yeah, I'm in for this? What holds them back?
Price tag, for one. Fear, right? The call we had just before this. was a kind of like our second pricing discussion. We got the rest of the team in there, not pricing, more like what it would look like discussion. And their biggest thing is like, well, we got like 200 jobs on the schedule. Like it's doing open heart surgery on a football team while they're trying to win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, and so that seems to be the biggest hurdle, right? Is one, the price tag, because it costs a lot of money. We have a team of 18 people now, and trainers are on site for a month. You know what I mean? There's 3 of us here, right? We're going out. We got hotels. We got videographers that record the videos that go out with the emails. So their videographer was here for a week, so that's 4 people. So the price tag, of course, right, for one. The second one is the fear of like, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to bring all this stuff over. We're going to migrate. We're going to have to get all this data out. Like, AccuLynx won't let you take the pictures out. They take the notes out. So you have to copy paste the notes into a Google Doc and copy. Like, it's a lot, right? And so that fear of the data and getting off the old CRM, that when you're looking at leaving, it feels like they're holding you hostage, when it's not. It's just the system isn't designed to be exported. It's not that they're holding you hostage. It's not designed for that. And so that's that biggest thing. The only thing that gets them going is this, like, or the only thing that gets them through that hurdle is they feel like the invisible hand of capitalism is telling them that if they don't do it, they might lose their place to someone who does. And so you're right. It's a very small group, but we deal with 10 a year. You know what I mean? Like, the Sumo Quote thing is where we created some scale, but the HubSpot thing is my like passion project, because I want to build the CRM that for one of the $1 billion roofing companies that comes about, right? So
I'm sitting here going, maybe there's a way to help you out if you want. Like, I don't know, but
I would love it, because I'm tired.
We work with a lot of companies, and we help them build out their process, but it's laid out. Think of it as more like a flow chart backed up by a spreadsheet. Like, this is the process, and these are all the different places you're doing what you're doing, where we can get that laid out and then hand it off to somebody and say, okay, now go make that work over there. Maybe that's something we can talk about. Like, that would be kind of cool to maybe take a bit of the workload off of you and saying, hey, here's the design for it. Now, you would obviously have a lot of input on that. You've got a lot of experience with it, so I'm sure you'd look it over. But we found, and this is something I want to ask you about, a contractor this size and a contractor this size has different needs by a lot.
Absolutely.
Their processes are going to look different because they're going to have more moving parts, more people involved in it, more communication needs, more customers, more at risk. How do you navigate that? Is it something where you build it based on their size in a very custom way and then it grows with them, or that you already have kind of a vision for? Or is it something like, hey, this is the vision, this is where we're going to be, we're going to start using it this way, but here?
So that's how we have to kind of work with companies that are 10 million and up, because they're the only ones, like, because this is like 1 to 3% of revenue, right, that they're going to be spending. So it's a big chunk. So we kind of have to work with companies like that for this. Now, we are actively seeking, like, well, how do we make a little baby HubSpot for everybody that like wants to get on? Because then how do we get like 100 contractors in a year instead of 10,
Right.
So we're actively trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure out what is the way to work with a roofing company of small revenue, work the way out. That's like my winter project. I'm doing my last build. I'm finishing here in 3 days, and then I'm spending 2 months working on world-class remote support, because we just built 10 of these things, and I know they're going to need remote support. We got our best year yet, so I just want to make sure they get the best from us when it comes to remote support and the continued like revenue operations support that we offer. And then my thing is like, how do I get like the smaller companies on Hub? Because I'm like, do I really belong there? Like, sometimes I was like, I don't belong there. Like, that's what Job Nimbus is for. $50 a user. Go ahead. Come to us if you're like this big vision person. And then, so then really like, that's kind of like where I think it's like, I don't know if I necessarily belong over there, because there's other offerings that are more suited for them. But then that's where we created the Sumo Quote thing, because when we stopped doing Facebook ads in 2019, it was about a year later, and we went, wait, where's all our CRM customers? Like, we don't have it. Oh, right, because we're not blowing people up with leads no more. And so then at that same time, Sumo Quote got on my radar, and we actually made one for our company back home to sell Christmas lights off of Sumo Quote. And went from selling like $1,500, $2,000 rinky-dinky Christmas light jobs to like these, ravines of Richfield hockey wives that were buying these like elaborate things with these beautiful things. I was like, okay, so now it's like $5,000 Christmas light jobs, $15,000 Christmas light jobs. Like, holy crap, this symbol quote can make a difference with its like presentation ability over and above the like text quotes that even we were doing back then. It was like a text quote, an estimate that looked like an estimate, right? I was like, holy crap, we gotta try and sell this to roofers. So then we started doing that. And then all of a sudden now we're getting that influx of CRM customers. It's 1 in 20, but I mean, that's the value ladder. So I think that the only place that I really stand at, that I've figured out right now to help that roofing company that's not in that ideal customer avatar box that we've kind of found ourselves to be home in, is the sumo quote stuff. But if I could find a way to make a scalable, start with HubSpot Starter and then go to HubSpot Pro and then go to HubSpot Enterprise and have a clear line as to when you cross those territories. And if I had a large enough customer base to like know that I could experiment with it, I think I could figure it out. This is just, I just got kind of a slam dunk with this other thing. And it just feels very, in control, and I don't know. It's like I see where the industry's going, and yeah.
It sounds like you and I should have a private conversation. We actually work with a lot of vendors to help them get clear on that stuff. So like it's a lot of fun to do that kind of thing, and we do that because we just want to. We want you guys to be better. So if you want to help on going after small guys, I can help there. If you're like want to get clarity on should I or shouldn't I can maybe talk through some of that with you too.
I would love to.
I enjoy those conversations, and I think there's a way for us vendors to collaborate together to serve these guys better, and that's what this is all about. That's why we do what we do. Is I want to see these guys have a quality of life that they truly enjoy and feel fulfilled by, and part of that is making it a well-oiled machine. Like that was always what my focus was. How do I make this something that's more machine-like, more repetitive, more like I just know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and be able to predict what's going to happen. And so it's cool to talk to a guy that sees that, but sees it from a whole different angle and comes from a whole different route to that. So I'm a contractor. First off, I got one question that popped up in my head. I heard you say Christmas lights, which pretty closely related to the roofing thing. Like I know a lot of roofers that do that in the wintertime. Do you do other contractors? Like, what if I'm a painting guy doing $7-10 million a year?
So we built civil quotes for them, but no, the closest we've gone to another trade was like solar, siding. Yeah, but nothing that like painting or HVAC or anything like that. Because even then, I think those industries have better tools like ServiceTitan and Service Fusion, great for like HVAC service and stuff like that. But I haven't really come across it yet. Like Windows, stuff like that. Like I haven't really gotten a chance to do that. We've done some of it with Sumo Quote, but not CRMs. Yeah,
I wonder if the concrete epoxy flooring guys, like that would be a pretty good fit for them. It seems like. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have real good tools for that. So
that's a good insight.
Yeah, and they exist. There's these, and I always think about it this way: like, who's our client? Like, really, who is our client? We know that our client isn't an HVAC person, not an electrician, not a plumber. They have different needs and they operate in a different way with, these big service departments and stuff like that. Re-roof commercial contractors, our client. Service contract commercial clients, not our client. And so we're really clear on this. Well, who our client is somebody that markets. They go and estimate and sell. They provide the service. They get paid for it and they're done. Like that is who fits us very well. And we understand that there's stages too. There's like these 6 different stages to their growth that have different needs at different times for them to actually hit some of those expansion models that they're looking for. Contractor is considering going to a CRM or changing CRM. What are the 3 maybe top things that they should be considering when doing so?
That's a really good question. So one of the things that you need to do is, plan, first of all, before you do any migration, right? So after conversation, right, that you found maybe a partner or someone to help you, before you do it, you need to have this like pizza and beer night where everybody goes and like cleans their files. Like you need to have like a data governance day where like, and it might be a weekend, it might be a week, depending on the size of the company. There needs to be that. Like you need to have that kind of pre-built in. And then much like roofing, you know how like in roofing sales coaching, people say you got to make sure that they get the customer to agree they need a new roof before you can try and sell them a new roof, right? You got to get your whole team aware of it, right? Like you got to be able to go around like, do you love the CRM? Like, are you having problems? Like you all understand that like every time we get to a certain critical mass, everything starts to fall apart and break, and people start getting mad at us. So there's like no more economic mobility or opportunity around here unless we can fix this problem. Like you all agree, like you're not getting promoted. We're not opening another location. You're not getting, like nothing's happening around here. And unless somebody dies, someone else gets your job. But mostly nothing's happening around here unless we fix this problem, we create an opportunity for growth. That's like one of the first things that you need. And then I would say that if you're looking at changing CRMs, you take one of the questions that we ask in our like interview processes. You have 3 categories of people in your business. You take all your non-roofers through this, but you have people who love technology and are excited by its ability to help them. People who tolerate technology, they don't mind it, they'll learn it, they understand its importance, but they're not lovers of it. And then people who hate technology and can't believe that it's taken over the world and they're frustrated. That if you're someone who's been relying heavily on that 56-year-old sales guy that he's bounced to 5 different companies because everybody keeps trying to make him put notes in the CRM and he doesn't want to, so then he keeps quitting and going to other places and he's got everything on notes and folders and stuff. That guy is a band-aid. He's a crutch. He's a false sense of business security, but without him you're struggling. And it's nothing to do with the age so much as the unwillingness to change, right? And so change management is really difficult, and you got to make sure that like you have a super majority, like 70% tolerate or like technology, because they're the ones that are either going to pick up the slack of the guy who quit. Because I say we get about 0.8 people quit. So it's not quite every time I go to a CRM, but almost every time I go to a CRM, someone decides to plant their flag on the ground and say, if this doesn't go back to the way it was, then I'm leaving. And then we have to be willing to fire that guy. Right? You have to be willing to let that guy go.
You have a better ratio than we do, that's for sure. I'm like, hey, this thing that we're about to do with this coaching thing and putting standards in place and processes and CRMs and this new way of selling and approach, you're going to have a bunch of people that are not real thrilled. You're probably going to lose it.
I think because we go there, maybe it helps, but yeah, like it's and we have this like I think that's just the 2 biggest ones. If you've got the technology, if you've got the super majority on people who will go with technology, and you can get everybody in the company to agree that there's a problem and that we all stand to benefit by fixing it, then it just comes down to like leadership and willingness to change. Like other than that, I mean, you should be either capable of or paying someone capable of helping you with this 2 or 3 month long, like this is like a rock for your quarter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have someone to guide you through it that then is gone, you know what I mean? That you don't have to give, what do you call, like a layoff settlement or whatever, like when you let someone go, right? Like this is a person who comes in for a short period of time and then leaves, right? Because that person is going to have their reputation and their paycheck and everything tied to this intense, open heart surgery while the football team is trying to win the Super Bowl project, and then leaves, right? And I think that is where everything that's ever gone wrong for me on an implementation, has always gone to me not catching it in those initial steps of checking for those things.
Yeah, getting expectations right is super important. It's something that we highly value around here. Like you got to do that, especially like if the big things. You're doing a big thing, like we're not like other coaches. We're in all of it from beginning to end. Or we're not just a marketing coach. We're not just a sales coach. We cover a lot of ground. So if we don't get those expectations set right, and something you said that it kind of stuck out to me was, if you have this 56-year-old guy that's like, hey, if it doesn't go back, I'm not going to work here anymore. You don't own your business. he owns your business. He's actually in charge of you. He's the boss. You're not the person that's running your business. And I always find that interesting, like who actually runs the business whenever we first get involved with somebody. Like I want to know who the owner is, because I would bet that about 75% of the time it's not the owner, and they would be shocked to hear that. Mm-hmm. Hey, Adam, I wish we had more time. I know you have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and contact you, and they're thinking about, hey, making this major change that you can make a minor difficulty, what would they do? How do they do so?
Well, I mean, I would be a very good marketer if I wasn't easy to find. Probably just click on one of the ads that I'm showing you on Facebook, but because it should be there. But if not that, then look me up, Adam Sand on Facebook. Everybody reaches out to me there, roofingbusinesspartner.com, or just leave a comment in Jim's thing, because I'll probably be wherever this podcast is, I'll probably be looking for him. So, but at the end of the day, if someone wants to find me, I should be able to make it pretty easy to find Adam Sand.
Yeah, and if you guys are looking for him, we know how to get a hold of him, so get a hold of us. We were going to put all of his information in the show notes down below. And Adam, I really appreciate your time today. I know it's valuable. I know that it's intense what you do. And thanks for taking some time with us today, and maybe helping a few guys kind of realize, like, hey, where I might need to go with all this. If I really am planning on being that 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, $100 million business, what all it really takes to get there. It's not just, hey, go sell more, right?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
Selling more.
I appreciate you bringing me. I was going to say, I appreciate you bringing me on. It's been a blessing. I honestly would love to chat more. I am finally going to be taking some time away here soon. I'm trying to catch up with a few people that I got to take some time to get right with my fiance, soon to be wife, get right with God, get right with my health, a few things that I've been really trying to find the time to focus on. And I really appreciate that you brought me on and just gave me the ability to connect with you a little more.
That would be a cool show to talk with you about, the sacrifice it takes when you're building something. You're building this new thing, your roofing business partner business, and the sacrifice that we make in our relationships and our health and our time. And like, it's pretty dramatic. If we don't take time for ourselves, it all comes crumbling down around us. And we start feeling, doubt and all that other good stuff. I'm glad you're taking some time off. You've been doing a killer job. High fives on that. Your people, if they don't understand, they're not your people. So thanks for being on the show. Go help somebody else here, I think, right at the bottom of the hour, and we'll catch you next time.
Will do, for sure. Thank you.
All right, brother. Good to have you.
Yep, you bet.
All right, everybody. That was Adam Sand with your roofing business partner. Roofingbusinesspartner.com is how you can get a hold of him. If you are looking to get control of your business so you can actually grow that business, get somebody like Adam Sand to help you achieve some of that financial and personal freedom that you're looking for into this well-oiled machine, reach out to us. We'll help you get there to that point of being that 8-figure contractor that is excited about spending the money that they need to spend to grow their business and expand even further beyond themselves. We love what we do here. We do have a special thing for you this week too. Just, I want to mention this before I hop off. Those of you that are still hanging out, one of the biggest things for us when we got into this and why we do a lot of what we do is we want to give back to the industry. It's really important. This industry has been so good to me and so good to the people that work here at Contractor Coach Pro that we want to give back. And we've been trying to find out a really good way to do that. And instead of, going to a charity and trying to figure all that out, we wanted to do something for you guys. And so we do a conference every year called the Contractor Strategy Conference. We have rebranded that to Mission Control, where we help contractors develop their annual plan or mission for the coming year. Exactly how to do it, how to format it. The one that I've followed for the last 20 plus years that's helped me double and triple my business each year consistently and build multi-million-dollar businesses. We want to teach you that same thing so that you can grow your business in a way that you actually have a roadmap. It's not just, hey, I want to hit 10 million and you just willy-nilly along the way trying to do it. Nobody grows a business in that way. Nobody climbs Mount Everest by showing up at the bottom of the mountain one day and starting to climb. There's a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. And if we can take 2 days out of our year to go off-site, hang out with people that know exactly how to develop that for you and give you the tools to be accountable to it, it'll be the best 2 days that you spend, and it's going to be free. This is something that we've been doing for the last 6 years, and for the last 6 years, we've charged $5,000 per company to attend. We're going to be doing it right here in New Braunfels, Texas. If you're interested, go to our website, ContractorCoachPRO.com, click on Services, and then click on Mission Control Retreat. It is a retreat. You're going to come spend 2 days with us, fully immersed in building your mission for 2023. And you're going to walk out of there with the roadmap prior to the year starting. Because when the year starts, you're at zero. It's not time to plan then. You should have already done it. We want to help you do so. It's going to be free. Our sponsors have stepped up and literally are paying for you to attend because we're here to serve you. We want to see you do well. We look forward to seeing you at Mission Control Retreat. Excited to kick it off this year. And there's only one catch. We can only handle 50 companies. So we go get registered today at ContractorCoachPRO.com. Check out Services, Mission Control Retreat, get registered, and we will see you on December 7th and 8th. Thanks for hanging out with our show. Thanks for listening in on another episode, and we'll have another one for you next week.